this course, Semantics and Pragmatics. In this lecture we're going to talk about sense and reference, which are two different aspects of meaning. So sense and reference are two distinct ways of talking about the meaning of words and other expressions, including phrases and sentences. Sense deals with the relationship inside the language, so sense is within the language itself. On the other hand, reference deals with the relationship between the language and the outside world. We're going to talk about each of these terms in detail right now. So starting with sense, it's always helpful to give a definition at the beginning. So what is sense? The sense of an expression is its place in a system of semantic relationships with other expressions in the language. So what does this mean? So we have an expression and we look at the relationship between this expression and other expressions in the language. So to give an example, to make this simpler, the relationship between big and small is what we call oppositeness of meaning, or antinomy. So taking an expression like big and looking at where it falls, or its place in the system of relationships or meaning relationships with other expressions, this is what we mean by sense and sense relations, which we're going to talk more about in another lecture. So the relationship between big and small is called antinomy. We're going to talk more about this in a coming lecture. The relationship between rich and wealthy is what we call sameness of meaning, or synonymy. So here we look at an expression and see where it falls in the system of relationships with other expressions, or with what place it takes in the system of relationships with other expressions. As I said, we will talk more about sense relations in a coming lecture in detail. We'll talk about antinomy, synonymy, and other sense relations in detail. Here we have some important points to talk about regarding sense. So in some cases, the same word form can have more than one sense. So we have an example here. If you look at a word like bank, here we have two sentences that use the word bank, but each sentence has a different sense. The first sentence here, I have an account at the bank. The second sentence, we took the boat to the other bank of the river. So here the word bank, or what we call word form, because this is just the form of the word. The letters, the sounds that we use, they look the same, they are similar, but the sense of the word form is different. So in these examples we say in semantics that bank has a different sense in each sentence. So in sentence number 1 it has a different sense than sentence number 2. So just get used to using the term sense this way, okay? So bank has a different sense in sentence number 1 than the sense used in sentence number 2. The second point regarding sense, we can talk about the sense not just of words but also longer expressions, including phrases and sentences. So here we also have two examples. Rupert took off his jacket, and Rupert took his jacket off. We notice a difference in word order. Here we took the preposition of, and we have it at the end of the sentence. Yet both sentences, even though they look different, they both have the same sense. They both have the same sense. So we say sentence number 1 has the same sense as sentence number 2. So you notice here we are talking about the sense of sentences, not just words. In the previous example we had the word bank. We talked about the sense of the word bank. We talk about the sense of words. We also can talk about phrases and the sense of sentences, like this one. The third point regarding sense is that one sentence can actually have different senses. So look at the example that we have here. The chicken is ready to eat. So at first glance at this sentence, you might understand it in a way, and then if you look at it again, you might get a different sense. So one sentence can have two different senses. So in this case we have two different senses. So this sentence has two different senses. What is the first one? Is that the chicken is ready to be eaten. So when you say the chicken is ready to eat, it means it's ready for people to eat it, or for someone to eat it. Okay. The second sense is that the chicken is ready to eat something. The chicken is not cooked, it's alive, and it's ready to eat something. So the chicken is ready to eat has two different senses, as we see here. First one is that it is ready to be eaten. Second one is that it's ready to eat something. Okay, moving on to the second term we're going to talk about in this lecture, which is reference. So we talked about sense. This is one way to look at meaning. We also have reference, which is a different way to look at meaning, as we will see here. At the end of the lecture, we're going to compare the two. How are they different from each other, and you know, some things that are of interest when we compare the two. So let's just look at reference here, and then we'll go back to comparing it with sense. So what is reference? As usual, a definition is very helpful to give at the beginning. Reference is a relationship between parts of the language. So we have the language, which is words, phrases, sentences, and things outside the language. So outside the words, outside the sentences, outside the phrases. They exist in the outside world. By reference, a speaker indicates which things, which persons in the world he is talking about. So he might be talking about a place, you know, an object, a person. So by reference, language creates a link between words, phrases, and sentences, and places, things, and objects in the outside world. So this link between the language and the outside world is what we call reference. And we have an example here. My son is in the house. So here we have my son and we have in the house. So my son is an expression which is used to refer to a person, a real person in the world. So if you imagine that someone came now and said, my son is in the house. He uses my son here to talk about a real person that exists in the outside world. And also the house is a real thing that exists outside in the real world. Okay, so this is what we mean by reference. We use language expressions to link and talk about the things that exist in the outside world. So here we will you know, have a way to make this clear to you. Try to find an object like a book and hold it in your hand and describe it in a sentence. So for example, if you have a book about semantics, one of the books that I recommended that you buy in the orientation lecture, you know, you say this book is about semantics, or this pen is blue. Okay, so here we used an English expression, this book. It is part of the language, of course. It is, you know, composed of words. So we have the word this, we have book, it is a phrase, this book, it is part of the language. And we linked it with an outside world object. Here you can use the expression to refer to any book. So when you say this book, it doesn't mean a particular book now, until you use it to refer to a book that is specifically exists in the outside world. So in the example that you used, when you held the book and you said this is a book about semantics, you used it to refer to part of the world, which is of course the book you are holding in your hand. Reference is the relationship between the language expression, which is in this case is this book, and the real world object, or as I said, this pen. All right, this pen is the language expression, and the object, this object is the real world object, which we're going to give a name in a bit and define as well. So looking at the example that we gave, we have an expression and we have an object or a place or a person. So we call the expression a referring expression, and we're going to give a definition of the referring expression. It is an expression that is used in an utterance to refer to something or someone. So the referring expression is part of the language we use. It can be a word, it can be a sentence, and it can be a phrase. and it is used to refer to something or someone. A referent, on the other hand, is the person or thing in the world, like the pen I showed you. This is when I said this pen is blue, the pen now became a referent. If you are holding the book still, the book here is still a referent. So when you said this book is now a referent. The real object that you are holding is called a referent. So a referent is the person or thing in the world that speakers refer to by using a referring expression. The relationship between the two, between the referring expression and the referent, is what we call reference. Really simple if you think about it, but it needs to be elaborated on and explained, because it can get confusing if you don't really understand the difference between the two. So referring expressions are part of the language. Referents are outside objects or places or people. Here we have some important points to talk about regarding referring expressions and reference. The first point is that the same referring expression can, in some cases, not always, but in some cases, be used to refer to different referents. So one referring expression, a word or a phrase or a sentence, one sentence or one word or one phrase, we can use it to refer to different referents. So, for example, the referring expression "this book" that we used previously can be used to refer to different books. So I can use it to refer to my book. Someone else can use it to refer to his book. So this book can be used to refer to more than one real-world object. And from this we get this point, is that the same referring expression, like the expression "this book," can be used to talk about different reference, different real-world objects. The second point, two different referring expressions can have the same reference. So this is more or less the opposite of the first one. So in the first one we have one referring expression, more than one referent. Here we have different referring expressions and only one referent. So for example, if we say Riyadh, this is a referring expression, one word. Or if we say the capital of Saudi Arabia, this is also a referring expression, this is a phrase. Both of these referring expressions, two different referring expressions here, refer to the same place, which is of course the city, that's Riyadh, or the capital of Saudi Arabia. So two referring expressions talk about one referent. Alright, so these are 2 points that you need to keep in mind regarding referring expressions and reference. Okay, now we're going to compare sense and reference. We defined sense previously. We said it is part of the language, it is within the language, and reference is the link between the language and the outside world. So let's compare the two and talk about some points that we get from our comparison. So the referent of an expression, this is the first point, the referent of an expression is often a thing or person. Like we said, the pen, the book, it is a real thing. Riyadh, for example, the city itself, the place, it is often a thing or person that exists in the world. Whereas the sense of an expression is not a thing. It's not a thing. It's just something in the mind of speakers. So it is not a thing at all. The sense of an expression is an abstraction, something you can't see or touch. It is an abstraction in the mind of a language user. So when a person understands fully what is said to him, so if I'm now talking to you and you understand what I'm saying, we can say that you grasp the sense of the expressions you hear. So when a person understands fully what is said to him, we can say that he grasps, that he understands the sense of the expressions he hears. So this is important to note, that referent is something that we can see, that exists. It is a thing, it is a person in the world. Of course there are certain exceptions, but mostly it is something that that exists. Whereas the sense of an expression is not a thing. It is just an abstraction in the mind of language users. The second point regarding sense and reference and comparing them is that every meaningful expression has sense. So if we have an expression that has meaning, it has sense. This is a rule here. But not every meaningful expression has reference. So what do we mean by that? Look at this example. If we have words like almost, like if, like probable, these words have sense. We can't say that they don't have sense. Okay, they are meaningful. They are meaningful expressions, and so they have sense. And yet they don't have reference. They don't refer to a person or a thing that exists in the outside world. So every meaningful expression has sense, but not every meaningful expression has reference. This is something important to keep in mind. Like the examples that we have here, almost, if, probable, they have sense, but they do not refer to a thing in the world. So this is it for today's lecture. Hopefully you found it useful and interesting. In the next lecture we're going to talk more about sense and sense relations and other topics within that, and inshallah I will see you next time. Bidnillah. Thank you for listening.